Yes, ma'am. The last board meeting, we were asked to report back on the Project Rise that's taking place, the grant that we're a part of over at Miller Jordan Middle School. We've been a part of that grant since 2017. It's a Region 1 grant to help incentivize teacher performance. With the grant, we're able to identify 4 master teachers and 6 mentor teachers. The master teachers receive a $7,000 stipend. The mentor teachers receive a $5,000 stipend per year. The master teachers are required to attend trainings over at Region 1, and after the trainings, they come back and are supposed to teach the rest of the staff. The mentor teachers, they work with any teachers that are from 1-year to 3-year teachers on the campus, and they just help them become better teachers throughout the rest of the year. In addition to the master and mentor teacher pay, there's some money set aside for training for the teachers that come in on Saturdays, and that's all paid through with the grant. The grant also covers travel to and from the training. The grant does not cover supplies, field trips, students, incentives, or anything like that. Its sole purpose is to increase teacher effectiveness by incentivizing teacher effectiveness. Listed at the bottom of that page are the dates of the trainings and the number of teachers that attended those trainings. According to the middle school principal that we have here, the answer is no, and that was done before we got here, before I got here.
So there could have been possibilities if those were done.
I cannot answer that question. I don't know the answer to that question, ma'am, without asking the previous principals.
Okie dokie. Agenda item number 4, number 3. 2018 STAR results overview. Mr. Morgan.
Do that, that's all right. Somebody back there to put up our second presentation, Peggy?
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Just want to give a quick rundown. These are preliminary. We received a data file today with final values. We are verifying, but we think it'll be very, very close to this. And then our ratings should be released in about a week, along with the distinction designations, and we're expecting a few. But I just wanted to give you all a heads up. I know you'll get the full TAPR reported to you, and there'll be plenty of data in there for you to review. But I wanted this board to know kind of how we fared. And I'm waiting. There we go. There we go. Okay. What I've got for you this evening is a breakdown by assessment, by grade level, per campus for the approaches, the meets, and the masters, the 3 levels that TA has given us to determine whether or not a student is considered passing or not. Approaches is still considered passing. Excuse me. You'll also see on this presentation a comparison from the 2017 to 2018. Now, that comparison is grade level to grade level. It is not the same cohort of students. So when we're looking at 3rd grade math, it's last year's 3rd grade math to this year's 3rd grade math. We look at 4th grade, not the same kids. It's 4th grade math last year to 4th grade math this year. So with our elementary, overall, we saw pretty good growth, and we see things moving in the right direction as a whole. 3rd grade math, for example, if you look under the approaches grade level and the change, you will see that 7 out of 12 campuses gained ground, and as a whole, San Benito CISD increased just over 1%. And if you look at the bottom number there, the 76.87 or 77% is right at the state average of 77%. I'm going to go through each of these fairly quickly. There are 22 assessments, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the detail. I'll hit the high points, and then at the end I've got kind of a summary for you to kind of give some clarification, I think. Third grade reading, big plus here is that we gained 6 points, and that 11 out of 12 campuses showed growth, and the one that showed a decline was less than 1%, so not a whole lot of decline. Didn't quite catch the state, but became pretty close. Fourth grade math, 11 out of 12 campuses again showed growth here, to the tune of almost 9% growth as a district, and you can see there that we are just above the state average on fourth grade math. Fourth grade reading, 11 out of 12 campuses showed growth. District-wide, we gained over 8%. Compared to the state, we're just slightly above the state average. Rounds down, so we'll be the same. Fourth grade writing, we didn't show as much growth in terms of campuses overall. More campuses gained than lost. As a district, we still gained almost 4 points, and we're 9% better than the state average. Fifth grade math, when I got this information, we didn't have the state scores. On the last slide I do, and I'll show that comparison. But you can see 11 out of 12 campuses improved in fifth grade math, and as a district, we gained 6.5 points. Fifth grade reading, 8 out of 12 of our campuses showed growth. Overall, we gained 4 points on our fifth grade reading scores. Fifth grade science, 9 out of 12 campuses showed growth. As a district as a whole, we gained 6 points and about 1% higher than the state average there. Middle school, it got a little blurry when I stretched it out there. Sixth grade math, you see some pretty good growth here, double-digit growth as a whole, and as a district, 11-point gain. Every campus showed improvement. Didn't quite catch the state, but we made up some ground there. Sixth grade reading, 2 of our 3 middle schools showed improvement. Overall, smaller gain, 2.5 points, and still didn't quite catch the state. Seventh grade math, you see improvement on all 3 campuses. The greatest improvement there by Millard Jordan, over 15% improvement. The least improvement by Riverside at 3. As a whole, we gained over 9%. Seventh grade reading, fairly consistent on this one. Between 4 and 6 points. As a whole for the district, we gained just over 5%. Seventh grade writing, we saw a 5-point gain at BC, almost 2% at Millard Jordan, and then a double-digit loss at Riverside. So overall for the district, we just about stayed the same, lost 0.37%. Eighth grade math, BC was the only campus to show growth. The other 2 campuses showed a small decline. Overall, 77%, and a growth overall for the district of 3%. Reading, similarly, BC was the one campus to show growth. Riverside dropped about 3 points. Overall as a district, almost 76%. In science, big gain from BC, a small gain from Riverside, and a small drop from Millard Jordan. Overall, as a district, we gained 6%. Social studies, 2 out of 3 showed improvement, including large improvement from BC there, over 25 points. Almost an 8% drop at Riverside. As a district, we gained almost 10%. High school end of course. This format is a little different based on the number of campuses. 2017 scores on the left-hand side there. Toward the center there is 2018, and then on the right-hand side you can see the change. The first test there for Algebra 1, as a district, for those 2 campuses, we actually as a district we gained 3.4%. On biology we stayed about the same, 0.09% difference, and on English 1 we're just about the same, dropped less than a point. English 2, we saw some decent growth at the high school, 7% growth. Overall in the district, 5.5%. And then U.S. history, we stayed about the same at the high school. Across the district, we gained 2.5 points. And these are our algebra kids at the middle school. Every kid passed. Algebra 1, our advanced kids, every kid passed in 2017. So you cannot improve from 100%, but at least we maintained that. These are alternative campuses. You have Amador, Gateway, Darrell Hester, PRC, et cetera, and the overall growth or change there. Our algebra scores, biology scores, these are small numbers, so one kid can mean a lot. And then our English 1, English 2, U.S. history. And finally, 2017, this spreadsheet represents an overview of San Benito CISD scores compared to the state of Texas, and then the difference. Each of those difference cells, if they are in red, they show we're below the state average. If they're in green, we're above the state average. So last year, and I started with the SSI, the 5th grade and 8th grade math and reading. You can see 5th grade reading, we were 7 below, 5th grade math 4 below, 8th grade reading and math 8 points below. So for those 4 assessments, we were at an average 6.75% below the state average. End of course assessments are next, same format. We're below in all 5, but barely below. And then elementary scores and middle school scores finish out this graph. Last year, if you look at the bottom left there, the average difference between San Benito CISD on the approaches number as compared to the state of Texas, on average, we were 7.09 points below the state. And on 2 assessments, we were 20 points or greater below the state. 6th grade math, we were 21% below. 8th grade social studies, we were 20 points below. And only at or above the state average on 2 assessments out of 22. That was 2017. After not quite a year of implementing a system where we have been focusing a lot on alignment, making sure that the instruction in the classroom is aligned to the state requirements, you're going to see some growth as compared to 2017. So the red is still there, but you'll notice here, if you look at the overall, that average difference at the middle school at 12.29. The year before, we were 16 points behind. So some progress was made. The elementary grades, non-SSI, not counting 5th grade, in 2017, we were 1 point behind the state on average. This year, 1.83 points above the average. We were at or above the state average on those elementary assessments on 5 out of 6 assessments. So to me, it shows that the system is taking place. We will have consistency in how we're approaching this, and as those kids move up, our kids should be more and more prepared, and we should see more and more green on this chart. Several of these assessments, we were pretty close. 3rd grade reading, we're 2 points off. 5th grade, we're either 2 or 3 points off state average on math and reading. We're close. Our end of course assessments, we're 2 points off on a couple of them. We have set the goal with our administration, with our principals. We're at or above on 5 of these assessments this year. We believe if we continue down this road that by next year we can be at or above on half the assessments, 11 out of 22 assessments. Any questions over any of that information? Anybody still awake?
Thank you, Dr. Corman.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now, agenda item number 4, review it, discussion to add the Teal organization alternate approver.
This is a recommendation that we add in Gina Ortiz as an alternate approver. Many of the things, especially assessment and accountability related, come to her attention, and if they wait for me to log in and approve, they would not be done in a timely fashion. So this is a new process that must be approved by the board, and we are asking for that consideration to be done.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, agenda item number 5, Review discussion of 2018-2019 Student Code of Conduct.
Mr. Saldana, are you ready, sir?
Mr. Saldana?
Good evening, Dr. Carmen, fellow board members.
Good evening.
I'd like to first acknowledge Mr. Luis Gonzalez. He was very instrumental in helping me do both of these documents, the Student Code of Conduct and Student Handbook. So I just want to say thank you, Luis. Basically, on the Student Code of Conduct on the draft right now for 2018, 2019, we took off, everything was pretty standard. The only changes are the ones I want to read out. On the Student Code of Conduct, the removal of corporal punishment from the Student Code of Conduct. Corporal punishment, spanking or paddling the student is not allowed as discipline management technique in accordance to the Student Code of Conduct and Policy FO Local in the district's policy manual. And that was approved by the board on January 30th, 2018. FO Local, the board prohibits the use of corporal punishment in the district. Students shall be, not be spanked, paddled, or subject to other physical forces as a means of discipline for violations of the Student Code of Conduct. And once you all approve it, then we will take it off the draft, and that's on page 14. Any questions on the Student Code of Conduct? The next one, the update on the, well, that's the next item.
Student Handbook?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Student Handbook updates included in the 2018-2019 San Luis ISD Student Handbook, aiding students who have learning difficulties or who need special education or Section 504 services, additions of the TA statement regarding special education referrals, updated at the top of page 18. And those are really the only two changes other than dates and names and things of that nature. Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Liz.
Agenda item number 7, review discussion of 2018-2019 elementary grading policy, and I believe it's Ms. Libby Flores.
Good evening.
And Mrs. Monsivais.
Yes. Well, she was on the committee, so I
Good
asked
for
her
her.
to be up
Good
here.
job, Ms. Monsivais.
We did have 6 principals on the committee, elementary principals, which I think that's very important. So there were a few changes, and so I'll begin with, basically, I'll highlight the attendance, and that was basically on, Lupita, you want to mention that one?
You're talking about page 3.
Right, page 3, right here.
Students not meeting the 90% attendance for them to attend summer school.
Because in the past, they didn't, and
It wasn't required in the past, so now if they're not in attendance for the school year, 90% of the time they're required to go to summer school. And that's one of the additions.
The other one that was really key was on the kindergarten numerical grades. So even though we did begin last year, it wasn't in the handbook grading policy, so we went ahead and placed
We
it.
used to give letter grades for improvement, needs improvement, what is it, the satisfactory and so forth. But now, as of last year, we went to numerical grades.
Miracle?
Yes. Well, because of the move from social to academic at kinder, we felt that it was important and there'd be a higher level of concern with the parents and also with the teachers. Right, the cumulative folder, we wanted to make that consistent with the elementary, all elementaries to have copies in their cumulative folder of the kinder report cards. Because on the face of the folder, it's not as detailed as a report card is at the kinder level. And then the gradebook change from Texas to Skyward, and that was about it. The rest were minor changes. On the appendix, we did add letters that had been omitted, forms that had been omitted prior, and that was basically to alert the parents of the retention, if their child was going to be retained, to give them ample time to come in, not just surprise them in April. So we went ahead and added that
There's
on
several
there.
forms in there. One of them is notice of concern, on notifying the parents.
First.
If there is a concern regarding their child's academic progress, for them to come in and we can start conferencing. Because there's a possibility of them having to go to or possible retention.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of communication, letting the parents know beforehand or early on that we're concerned. Even though it's done verbally, but now it's written, there's a letter could be on file.
Totally
as well.
different. Of course.
I got a quick question for you, Ms. Flores.
Yes, sir.
Great presentation, thank you very much. Those are great ideas, I like them all, they're awesome. The one that stood out to me was that the kids have to come to school 90% of the time.
Right.
Have you had an opportunity to look back and see how that's going to increase our summer school, or how it might decrease the summer school attendance, by any chance? Thank you.
Actually, we did allow at La Paloma, we did have summer school this summer, and we did allow some students that, for attendance, because they've been out like 57 days or 30 days, principals did send them. And it wasn't a major increase in numbers, so we can accommodate them, it's not a problem, we'll make do. So,
90% is required attendance, and the attendance review committee has the option, when it comes to attendance, it has the option of either in elementary, either assigning, actually even in second and junior high.
Yeah, it's the same
Assigning
thing.
a project, assigning a
Yeah.
reading, list, or so forth, something different than the summer school, but in this case, we're recommending that if you're absent, then you don't have enough attendance, therefore you go to summer school.
Great,
What is
thank you.
90%, ma'am, of the
I
187
think
days?
the most, depending on the number of days,
this coming year, we
I
have
think it's
173
like
days.
15, 18
70.
days max. Then we want to make the public, because otherwise we'll take advantage of it.
Okay, thank you.
You see, a lot of them start developing a habit, so it's at least in
Yes.
pre-K actually, even though many may think it's not important, but as many as, certainly as pre-K, we have some that have excessive absences, and then they go on to kindergarten, they develop this chronic habit, by the time they're fifth graders, they have really already missed out an entire year of attendance, which misses their academic growth.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
None.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, now, agenda item number 7, review and discussion of 2018. I'm sorry, number 8. These are not my reading glasses. They're my sister's. Number 8, review and discussion of 2018-2019 secondary grading policy, and I believe it's Dr. Rodrigo Pena. Good evening.
Just basically minor changes on the secondary policies. One of the main changes that we review, and it's already on board policy, is on the exclusions on the ranking. The calculation of class rank shall exclude grades earned in or by summer school, and even in a night school. That was one of the things that we double check and make sure that it was included in our grading policies. And there was a second item on the calculation. Additionally, up to 4 courses taken outside of the regular school day shall be used in the calculation of class rank when the courses are taken through an institution with which the district has an articulated agreement or memorandum of understanding, MOU. Questions on that one? And then that one is already in policy in TASB. This was adopted back in February. We just wanted to make sure that it was included in the grading policies for the 2018-2019 school year.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 9, review and discussions of the purchased Dell laptops for early college students for the 2018-2019 school year. Mr. Rodrigo?
Yes, ma'am. What you have there in front of you or on your attachment are 2 quotes for 2 similar computers. They're both Dell computers. They're a little bit different than the Chromebooks that most of the other kids will have there at the high school. You could do a little bit more, I think, with the Dell computers. One of them is a regular computer, the top quote, which is They account for 160 computers that will cover all the students that we have currently enrolled. Right. That is a regular computer, and it will, I don't believe it has a touch screen, so it needs the little stylus pen, where the second computer is more like this one right here, the one that I have where you can touch the screen, you could flip it over and turn it into a tablet, and it could also be used as a tablet. So what we have there are the two quotes for your consideration for the students enrolled at the Early College Academy.
Okey dokey. Thank you, sir.
So we have to make a decision, Mr. Madrigal, on which.
Yes, sir.
Which,
Yes, sir, which one you're gonna recommend or go with?
right.
So for $3,000, instead of using the stylus, we have the touchscreen capability, right?
Yes, sir, and you're not gonna, for the extra $3,000, you're not gonna have to pay for missing stylus pens, and this a lot more, I believe that the second quote is a lot more user-friendly and familiar with the kids these days.
I agree.
It's a
Would the
little bit
board like
more
a recommendation?
expensive, but
Yeah,
it
recommendation
does
is
work
second.
better.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
The second? Second quote?
Second vote. I second the motion. Yes, sir. Okey-dokey. You got that right. Agenda item number 10, to review the discussion of, to accept the Stanley Black & Deckers and Skills USA Show Off Your Skills, the Challenge Grant. Mr. Guerra? Is this for Mr. Guerra?
Thank you, board members. I passed out a handout a little while ago, and it's pretty much just to show what San Benito did. That was a national competition, and if you don't know, we won the national competition. It was a video shot by our AV.
I don't think you passed out anything over this way. Oh, Dr. Madrigal has some. Sorry. I am so sorry. I don't know why I confused you, sir. Jeez. Gosh, you're so
Must be the glasses.
different. It has to be the glasses.
Must be the glasses.
Thank you, Mr. Guerra.
Welcome. Again, it was just like I said, a national competition. If you don't know, we won $1,000 on
Oh,
that.
I
It's
saw
just pretty
that
much
here,
showing,
yeah. This right here.
kind of accept that check. We're also going to do a presentation on the next board meeting. We have some of the students that did the video and worked on that video. We're going to bring them aboard
Yes,
as
I saw
well.
that.
If you have any questions on that.
Well, we came in first then, right? And I noticed that other schools came in, like Bay,
Yes,
from Michigan. Well, we competed
Like again, this was a
statewide.
national competition. so it
National
was- everyone was
competition.
aware.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Good job, well done.
Teacher will be here and some of the students will be here as well, the ones that graduated, but they'll be
Wow.
here. Okay? Thank you.
It's an honor, sir. Thank you. Okey dokey. Do we have any committee concerns?
Yes, ma'am. I have one that was brought in. It's an MOU between us and the South Texas Emergency Care Foundation. This is the company that we have been doing our internship with for our EMS students that are currently enrolled in our EMS classes. Like I said, this was brought in, and we're asking that y'all would please consider it for approval so that we can continue our services to our children.
I move that we accept it. Do I hear a second?
Agenda.
Agenda item? Yes? Okey dokey, and we adjourn at 6:23. Thank you.